So good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I'm Allison. I'm the student advisor here at Options for Youth for the online program and San Gabriel. So we have a combination of students that go to San Gabriel school site, and then some of the some parents and students that are part of the online program. So today it is considered our senior parent night. So I have a few slides that'll touch on things that are coming up, whether you're seeking like enrollment to a community college or university, just to get that ball rolling, whichever avenue you decide to attend. So I'll also be going over like our OFY grad requirements, our OFY events that come up, like college tours or senior socials, and graduation dates and things like that. So again, if you ever have a question, please save it towards the end. But if you feel like it's pretty relevant at that time, just unmute your mic. All right, so senior to-do list for all my students. Hold on. All right, so for all my students, everyone should be doing kind of a check-in with me monthly, whether it's just like a quick text or a quick email or just us meeting this way virtually or in person, so that way we're all on the same page as far as like, are you hitting your number? Are you on track for graduation? Because it's not just being on track for going to a community college or going to a university, but are you on track for whatever graduation date you're choosing? So for most of you, your graduation goal is May 2019. And then it's also exploring like which colleges are you going to go to? Are you going to go to a community college? Are you going to apply to university? Researching what's close to you. Do you want to go right where you live, or do you want to go outside of where you live? And then the one thing I mentioned is knowing your number. So for the most part, I've met with all of you and I've given you a number, which means that, for example, you have to be turning in about 4 to 5 units per month. That's what I mean by number. If you don't know what that number is, let's meet. We can meet again in a week or two so we can go over like how you've been progressing. Right now we are exiting month 3, month 4. So whenever you have any questions about meeting or what your number is, just let me know. Next slide is university-bound students. So I think for the most part, all of you in this presentation are interested or have some interest in pursuing a university admission right after high school. So what this looks like is making sure if you're going to be applying to the UCs is looking at the personal insight questions. So there's no like personal statement anymore. You are provided with 8 questions and you choose 4 of those. For my students that are considered first generation or low income, if you decide to apply to a Cal State, I highly encourage that you look into the EOP. EOP is additional assistance that you get in college, like additional tutoring, sometimes a little bit more money or assistance in tuition. It all depends on the CSU and what money they can award for that school year. I sent out an email at the beginning of September asking students to fill out a student brag sheet. Although UCs and CSUs don't require a letter of recommendation for admission, some UCs, after you submit the application, may require a letter of recommendation. So it's good for you to get these things started now instead of going up to your teacher, your counselor last minute saying, hey, I need this done by tomorrow, because most likely that letter of recommendation is not going to be a strong one. So the student brag sheet lets the teacher or the recommender know, like, hey, this is what I've been doing outside of my academics. And it's also good to have a good selection of people that can speak highly of you, not just in the arena of academics, but also if you do any extracurricular activities or involved in anything outside of that. If you have not taken your SAT, I do recommend that you take it at least 2 to 3 times. The last one that counts for university admission is December 18th. So I think for the most part, all of you have signed up for the SAT. If you have not, please let me know and we can discuss about if you're eligible for a fee waiver. And then this is a picture that I got from the UC conference that I went to. So the UCs want an overall a well-rounded student. So they look at your GPA, they look at your SAT, ACT scores, how many A through G courses you've taken. For the ELC, I believe ELC means that you are considered the top 9% of your class. If you received, it was in June saying that congratulations, you're the top 9% of your class. And around this time, you'll be getting information from the UC saying kind of the same thing, like congratulating you for being the top 9% of your class. Also, here at OFY, if you're on the A through G planning guide, We want to make sure that you're taking those UC approved classes. We do have some AP courses here. When it comes to honors, that's the one part that we don't offer that, and the way that we kind of move forward with that is we do recommendations for community college. And I absolutely love that because you're getting college credit and you don't have to pay for tuition, and potentially we can award you high school credit for that too as well. And then I have some students that are just like, why do I have to do all of this? Like, I have such a great GPA. Like, can I just like do none of this and just go to school? And then the answer is no. Like, the UCs want to make sure that this is the system and the how they look at your application. So SpongeBob is in there for fun. And also, if you are going to be doing a university route, start looking at a freshman profile. The freshman profile will then tell you like last year's statistics. How many students applied? How many students were accepted? What is the GPA average of a student applying to these schools? What is the average SAT score? So for example, for 2018, the average GPA for UCI was a 4.10. Again, that's the average, not the minimum. So for the UCs, the minimum is a 3.0. Just because you have the minimum may not always mean that you're going to get in right away. Any questions when it comes to this slide? No? Okay. And again, we can address questions at the end as well. So this one briefly, I already touched on student brag sheets. Please fill them out. Even if you think you're not going to need them, there's always scenarios that come up if you're looking to apply to a job. You can use that letter of recommendation for that as well. Again, the CSUs, I highly recommend that everyone applies to EOP. And for the UCs, sometimes like UC Berkeley, UC Davis might ask for a letter of recommendation after you submitted it. And always ask for the letter of recommendation in person if possible, or through like a super professional email. And if you need help, need help writing that email, just let me know and we can do that together. Just so it's a little bit more of a formal process. Because if you just kind of throw it in there while you're testing with your teacher, just like your teacher's feeling overwhelmed, they might agree to it, but it's not something that was kind of done kind of in a professional way. So just let me know if you're looking to write up an email and I can help you draft it. And also just give them enough time. If you know that your letter of recommendation is due January 1st, don't ask them during winter break. That's not a good time. Even though they're on break, they might be on vacation with family and things like that. So just kind of take that into consideration. So I'm going to be playing a game with you guys. It's up to you if you respond or not. So this is a game, myth or fact. So the first question is, or the first scenario is, I'm going straight to a community college. My high school record will also transfer to a four-year university after community college. Is that a myth or a fact? Anyone?
Oh man, hold up. Wait. Sorry, my dog. I think, oh my gosh, my brother just told me this too. I forgot. Oh man. Wait, what is it? Actually, I'm curious. Now I forgot.
So I will answer this for you guys. So the first scenario is a myth. So if you decide to go straight to a community college after high school, whatever you've done in high school, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you do get that fresh start at a community college. Yeah. So the things where it does become important is, did you take 4 years of English, which is mandatory? Did you take the 3 years of math, which is also mandatory at OFI for graduation? So all of that will help you, because once you get to community college, the thing that you'll be doing is taking a math and English assessment. So depending on where you assess, that will determine usually if you will be there for 2 or more years than that. So first scenario is a myth. Second scenario is, it is less competitive and cheaper to go to a four-year university if I go to a community college. Let me explain this one. This one is a fact. This one is a fact because when admissions or universities are looking at students to admit university, not community colleges, they're getting applications from freshmen. They're getting applications from transfer students. They're getting international students, all these other students that are looking to be admitted into their institution. So when they look at a transfer student, the transfer student has nowhere else to go. They can't stay at a community college because they've already met the requirements. The next step is to go to a four-year institution. It is much more competitive to go as a freshman student because you have to take the SAT, you have to worry about your GPA, you have to take AP, college classes. You have to think about all of that to be a well-rounded student or a competitive student. So sometimes it is less competitive and for sure cheaper to go from community college to a university. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask that we all mute our mics just so we can have some a crisp presentation. So UCs and CSUs, I'm gonna go through this a little bit quicker. So UC's minimum GPA is a 3.0, CSU's is a 2.0. The CSU is one of the most affordable systems in California. So for these two systems, they really want to admit students from California. It's in their name. The C in CSU stands for California, and the C in UC stands for California. So they really want to admit students from California. The CSUs, they have something called something that is called local index. So depending on where your high school is, if you meet the requirements, you will pretty much be guaranteed admission into those. So for CSU, because we are part of the San Gabriel Unified School District, you are guaranteed admission with the minimum requirements to Cal State LA. And then with UCs, there's a bigger component. For all of these two systems, you have to take the SAT and ACT. And then for the UCs, they also require the PIQs or the personal insight question. And also they look at your extracurricular activities. So just by saying, hey, I have a 4.0, I've taken all the right classes, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get admitted. They want a well-rounded student. So for UCs, what I discussed is the PIQ questions. So you get 8 questions and you get to answer only 4 of them. There's no space for a 5th question. There's no space for you to answer 8 of them, only 4. And you only get 350 words per question. So be mindful of the words that you're using. So I use this funny picture here from The Emperor's New Groove. So that scene where Kronk is asking, oh, right, the poison. And then he's just like restating it in different ways. So be mindful of how you're writing your PIQs. And if you need help with this, please let me know. And I'd love to be part of that conversation as well. And then I will also link you to an English teacher or an English tutor that can support you with your PIQs or your letters of recommendation as well, because we want to make sure that you're putting your best work forward. This one is WUI, or the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program. This is a partnership or an agreement between California and universities outside of the state of California. So as California residents, you don't have to pay extra tuition or anything like that. But once you step foot outside of California, you're considered non-residents, unless your family for some reason has property out there or some other level of income that just gets a little tricky to figure out. But the best way for students to go to school outside of California without having to pay outrageous amounts of money. It's usually about like 1.5 increase, but it's still a pretty good deal. This is not for all universities. It's a partnership with select universities surrounding California. So please check that out. And at the end of this presentation, I will be sending everyone this presentation. So in case you have questions, you can go over the slides as well. So for community college, it's a pretty simple route in comparison to going to straight to a four-year university, because for a four-year, you have to prep, you have to plan, you have to do a lot of things. For community college, it's pretty simple. You have to be 18 years old or have a high school equivalency or a high school diploma. Website to go to, cccapply.org. If you've taken a community college class, you're already considered a community college student. So let's say that you've taken a class at PCC over the summer, you wouldn't have to apply again. You already have your student ID number, your email, all that stuff is already steps for admission, fairly simple. You apply. You don't have to wait to get in or admitted or anything like that. After, you're going to take the math and English assessment. Again, you want to take this seriously because this will make or break your time at a community college. So if you end up assessing in a lower level that doesn't transfer to a four-year, don't take that as a waste of time. Kind of think about it as cool. Like I get to have a stronger foundation once I get to those transferable courses like English 101 or Math 125. And again, these numbers tend to change with the community college that you choose. So once you do the assessment, you will do orientation. Orientation is usually done online, and then counseling. Counseling, I highly recommend that you go in person. That way you can have that one-on-one experience with the counselor. You usually get about 10 to 15 minutes. It's very similar to the way that I set up things as well. And then after that, you can register for classes. And if you go to counseling, they can provide you like a 2-3 year plan for you and spread out your classes. At the community college, they have four seasons or 4 terms. The traditional terms are spring and fall, and then they have winter and summer. Those sessions are usually 5 weeks long, and they're beyond accelerated because they're cramming in 16 weeks into 5 weeks. So be mindful of when you want to start that. When I started community college, I started in the summer and I took 1 class. I took psychology, and I think it was a good class to start off with, to start my college career with. And then after that, I was a 12-15 unit. I was a full-time community college student. If you have questions when it comes to units, part-time, full-time, like what does that mean? Let me know, and we can continue this conversation outside of this meeting. Let's see, next slide. So we've mentioned CSUs, the WUI program, UCs, private schools. Now it's a matter of finding what is the right fit for you. I know a lot of you are thinking like, should I apply to college, or should I just go straight to a community college? You have to weigh the options. Really start thinking about if, like, anyone can go to a community college. If you're really interested in going to a university, this is the window to apply. If you do not apply by this semester, you would have to wait a whole year, and then you'd start that following year. So even if university route is what you're contemplating or sounds interesting to you, apply, because you never know like what kind of scholarships or what kind of money is out there, or like what's going to happen next semester, even next school year. So I do recommend, if you have the slight interest and you know where you want to apply, let's shoot for university applications this semester. And actually, for all of my university applicants or even community college applicants, I'm scheduling one-on-one, 1-hour appointments with everyone where we, well, for community college, we don't have to do anything extra, but for university, you have to list classes you've taken and all of that. And I want to be there every step of the way if you do decide to do a university application route. And also start thinking about like, not just like which college you're going to, but what do you want to do when you grow up? I know that's maybe a question you got in the first grade or even in kindergarten, but what is it that you want to do? Like now that's a serious question. Now that all of you are getting to that age of becoming adults, is what do you career, what do you want to major in, and then what college has that major? So let's play another game. So this one the questions are getting a little tricky. So by meeting all the minimum admission requirements, I will be accepted to a UC. So for this one, it is a myth. And it is a myth because, again, just by meeting all the minimum requirements, remember, you are competing against other students that have like 4.0s and above, have like volunteer X, Y, and Z places. Like, you are competing against other students. So you want to make sure that you have a competitive application as well. So that first scenario is a myth. Second scenario is, if I meet with Allison once a month or a quick check-in, I will feel less anxious. This is kind of a tricky one because it could be a myth or a fact, because I feel like I sometimes overwhelm students with all the information I can give. And I even feel like this presentation can be a little overwhelming. But again, I always say we can continue this conversation outside where we can kind of really break down like all the things that we talked about: community college, university, private schools, out of state. Like, we can continue that at another time. So for this one, for this scenario, I'm going to say that's a fact. Because then once we continue that conversation, most students are like, all right, Allison, I felt like really anxious at first, but now that we talked about it one-on-one, I feel a little bit better about it. All right, moving on. So this is particular just for OFY. So in order for you to graduate with OFY, you need 220 credits. The breakdown of that is 4 years, 3 years of math, 2 years of science. If you're A through G, that has to be a lab science. There has to be a lab component to it. And then 3 years of social studies and then electives. And the reason there's a star on electives because if you're A through G, which means applying to universities, those electives have to be specific college prep electives. And then you need your 10 hours of community service. That this needs to be finished at most a month before your graduation deadline. So for the exception of Cassidy, all of you should be submitting this before, let's say April 1st. All of this needs to be done soon. Get it out of the way because I have a lot of students that come crying, kicking and screaming, saying like, I finished everything except my community service. Where do I go? So just get this out of the way now. And then our new requirement as of earlier this school year is a health requirement, only one semester. So check your transcripts, check your student track, see if you already completed this class. For my November grads, we are making an exception because this was implemented earlier this school year. But for my May grads, this is something that needs to be on your transcript. So just double check if that's there. And if you find yourself in the situation where you have no more elective spots, we may be able to offer you an exception, but it does need to be run through our principal. And then also, I've met with a lot of you, so let's continue the conversation. I want to make sure that everyone has a post-secondary plan, whether it's going straight to the workforce, going straight to community college or university. And lastly, you will be asked to take a grad exit survey. Basically, it's going to ask you about your time at OFY, and then what your plans are after high school. So graduation, if you're a November grad, that will be taking place Tuesday, November 6th at Ontario. Grad deadline is coming up. It's a month away, October 19th. Senior social already passed. What is senior social? Senior social is where you purchase your cap and gown, take your senior portraits, do any other senior related activity. So that is mandatory because you do have to, that is the one requirement for graduation is having a cap and gown. And then for May grad, we already have that all set up. It's going to be Tuesday, May 15th. So if you want to fly in grandma or if you want to let like Uncle Joey, let him know. It's going to be Tuesday, May 15th at the Ontario Convention Center. For this one, April 17th, make sure you are aware of that date because 99% of your things need to be turned in by then. If things are not turned in by April 17th, you are putting yourself at not participating in our May graduation. We don't have the date for senior social yet, but just please look at my site and I will be announcing it on my site as soon as I know that info. Let me see. And then we are offering one-way transportation to graduation. The reason we're doing that is because students have to be there at 1:30 p.m. and then they have to be there, and graduation does not start till about 6 p.m. So we will be busing students. So if any of these 3 locations are closest to you, just meet there, and you'll be riding the bus. But remember, it's only one way. So the expectation is that after graduation, you will be leaving with family. And then you get approximately 6 grad tickets. They are completely free. If we do have extra, we will be putting you on a wait list and then giving them out first come, first serve. So events coming up. So I know a lot of you are graduating next May. If you're interested in checking out any of our college tours coming up, the first one is October 5th to Cal State LA. You just have to go to my site and register. It's super easy, and then turn in the field trip slip. Without the field trip slip, you cannot go on the trip. It's completely free. The next one is Cal State Channel Islands. That is in the city of Camarillo. That is October 19th. If you are interested in attending the trip, same format. The one that I recommend for all students to go is November 9th, Cash for College at LA Trade Tech. All the UCs, all the CSUs, community colleges, private schools, trade schools will be in attendance along with, there'll be several workshops happening. And then November 10th, there will be a continuation for family and the community. We're just advertising the date. We will not be providing any transportation. That's just for families that are interested in going. It's, again, same at LA Trade Tech, and I believe it's in the morning. I'll be sending out with more info once they send me a flyer. And then our last trip for the semester is to Cal Poly Pomona, November 30th. And then next semester we have a NorCal college tour. We don't know which campuses we're visiting yet, but it's going to be in Northern California. And I think that's it for that one. So if you're interested, please sign up. All right, this is my last one, and this one is pretty tricky. A lot of students had trouble with this one. So myth or fact, it is okay for transcripts and test scores to arrive after the deadline if they were postmarked by or before the deadline. So this one is tricky because a lot of students don't use the mail or don't know what postmark means. So if for some reason you have to mail, like the post office or UPS or FedEx, this is a fact. Yes, it is okay for you to send things after the deadline because it's postmarked. So if it's due January 30th and you go to the mail January 30th and that stamp says January 30th, you are good to go. But it goes off into the mail and then you don't know like what happens to it. I always recommend get things in writing, get a receipt, get something, get a verification that you've done what you needed to do. But again, this is not a good policy. Don't wait till the last minute. That's never a good thing for anyone. Last scenario is submitting the application early improves the student's chances of admission. This is a complete myth. I've spoken to several admissions counselors for UC, CSUs, private schools, all of them, and this is at random, unless if they're doing like rolling admission. Rolling admission is mainly for those private schools. So it does differ, but for the UC, CSUs, submitting your application early does not improve your chances. Financial aid. So for my November grads that are looking to start school, well, I don't think this applies to anyone. Most of you are looking to start university or college summer 2019 or fall 2019. So I'll go with the next bullet point. Everyone will be filling out the FAFSA. The FAFSA is how you will be qualifying for federal aid money. When it comes to this becomes something out of kind of like my zone, but it's still part of the college process. So I am recommending for all of my students to go to the PCC FAFSA California Dream Act. Where is that located? At PCC, Pasadena City College. It's happening November 3rd at 8 a.m. If you go to my site, you will then find a flyer. It's a green flyer that says PCC workshop. So with that, you will be showing up with your social security information and your 2017 tax information. Why do they need that? That's how you will be qualifying for federal aid money. So it's super important that you have those things handy. That day you will be submitting and submitting your FAFSA for the next school year. I think 2 of you are in Crew. Crew will be having their financial aid workshop, I believe, October 13th. Already went out for that. So if you're interested in that, it is a little bit earlier. Please email Amy back and let her know that you're interested in that workshop. Again, these workshops are super important because you will be submitting them. October 1st is when it opens. March 2nd is when it closes. But just get it done. Get it out of the way. Like, do it before the holidays start coming up. And then I will be hosting my own workshops as well. But it's not going to happen until December. And the reason for that is that from now up until end of November, I will be busy working on those college applications with students. So December is when I can breathe a little bit more and we can then start exploring financial aid. But there are two other times where you can start working on FAFSA. FAFSA does require that sensitive information like social security numbers, personal information, and of course 2017 taxes. Okay, I believe this is my last slide. These are important or helpful websites. This one right here is my website. So it's bit.ly/OFYSA Corner. That's where you will find pretty much all of those flyers that I talk about, all of those tours. And I actually will be uploading this presentation on my website as well. That way you can access it, and I'll also have the PowerPoint for you to download as well. Or you can contact me as well, and we can have those one-on-one conversations as well. And now is the time that I can take any questions. And actually, I find this picture very funny because, again, I feel like I provide you with a lot of overwhelming information. So if you feel like I've given you stuff, just let me know. Ask me those questions, and I can answer those for you. So if you have any questions, just let me know. You can unmute your mics. And if not, then thank you for joining. I appreciate your time. And then if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one meeting, I know I have one with Paolo next week. Cassidy, Ivan, if you want to schedule those meetings, just let me know. We can drop it.
Oh yeah, I would like to schedule a meeting.
Cool. I'll be back at San Gabriel next Monday in the afternoon. I don't know if you're available.
Oh, I have volleyball practice. I could do it before 2.
Okay. We can definitely do that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Anyone else with questions? If you have no questions, you can feel free to sign off. Thank you for your time.
I think I have a personal question though. So during the meeting, is it okay if I can ask that on our one-on-one?
Yeah, you can just wait for everyone to log off.
Okay. Because I just have a question about my credits.
Okay. We can discuss that after. Hold on. Anyone else with questions? Paolo, Ivan, questions about the presentation?
No.
Okay. So Paolo, I'll be meeting you next week so we can start chatting about some of the things you want to do. I'm going to log off. Ivan, do you have any questions?
Check email.
Check your email?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I sent you the email.
Okay, cool. So I'll check that out, and actually, Cassidy, I'll give you a phone call and we can continue the conversation then. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good Wednesday evening. Have a great day.
Bye. Nice day.
Bye.